The views expressed on the Warren and Bradley Show are not necessarily those held by the hosts, Warren and Bradley, nor those of the proprietors of the website, warrenandbradley.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Let's make some magic.
It is magic time. Hello and welcome once again to the Warren and Bradley Show. This is lucky episode 13, Warren.
It's horrifying.
It's, I don't know. What could go wrong?
Maybe we should just skip 13 and call it episode 14.
We should do that, like we're naming floors in a high-rise building. But, I don't know. Maybe it'll go against the grain. We'll prove the... Well, who actually
I don't know if this would prove anything. If we, don't die after this episode
Maybe.
or something.
Or
we'll prove that 13's not unlucky.
Actually, when I was editing episode 12, I had horrible gremlins in my computer and everything was exploding and things were going awfully. And basically my computer just shut down in the middle of editing. And I
That's not good.
Because I pretty much lost all the progress I had made.
And I imagine this would be terrifying for you and the audience as well.
Well, the audience, yeah. I was about to use my iPhone to put a post on our website and on Facebook saying, tragedy has struck, and I wasn't able to get the episode edited. But luckily, I stayed up till 1:30 in the morning figuring out how to get my computer to boot up, and then spent another 3 hours editing the rest of the episode. Got done at about 3:30 or so, and then had to get up at 5:45 for work the next day.
In case you're wondering what I was doing during this time, I was unaware this was going on. I was just blissfully living my life, probably sleeping.
Probably rolling over and scratching yourself every once in a while.
But when I walked into your house today, you said, the first thing you said was, you look disheveled and tired.
Which is nice, yeah. Nice to hear that.
And I guess I'm tired. I have no reason to be tired. I don't think I slept very much last night.
It was more, it's not like you're all pale and drawn looking. It was just more the look on your face. You seemed, I don't know.
I think
like you'd had it.
I've had it.
Have you had it?
I don't know. I feel like I've had it right now for some reason.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You in a bad mood?
Nah, I don't know if I'm in a bad mood.
Defeated?
I'm not defeated.
Just where you are in your life. You're just... this is what I always wonder about. Yeah?
Let's say I got really ambitious and tried to be the Pope.
Okay.
Do you think I could become the Pope if I put all my effort in becoming the Pope?
Well, first of all, you'd have to convert to Catholicism.
Oh, I'd have to do the whole thing. I'd have to go to seminary, become a priest.
Become a priest.
I have to do something, and then I have to do something that make me famous as a priest. Like I have to help homeless people or help somebody.
I think by the time you were able to accomplish all the the checklist necessary to be the Pope, you'd be dead. So you have to start when you're
And you need a lot of luck to be the Pope too.
Yeah.
You just need them to pick you. How about if I want to be in Congress?
Congress is perhaps possible.
It'd be an unlikely story, though.
It would be an unlikely story. You went to college. You're not a lawyer. That seems to help usually if you are a lawyer. You didn't go to an Ivy League school.
But I'm an outsider.
You don't have political connections. I mean, you do occasionally see people who get elected into office. But what you would have to do is pick some town. You'd probably have to move to a different town because too many people know you here.
Well, too many people know me. But the other thing I'd have to do is I'd have to adopt the political tone of wherever I'm living.
Right.
And I just fake it.
Right.
That's the plan. I'm just going to
And you start out as county council, then you go to, state representative.
Work my way up.
Work your way up. Don't make any controversial decisions. Don't sponsor any bills that breed controversy. Basically like Barack Obama's Senate career where he just voted present on pretty much every single vote.
I think, I think that's a lot more likely to be Pope.
Yeah.
It's still probably not going to happen. The other one I was wondering about is what if I decide to be a surgeon?
That's not going to happen.
You think it's less likely than me being in the Congress?
Much less likely, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
But I can kind of control that.
Kind of. I mean, first of all, I'm not saying that you couldn't go through medical school. I'm sure you probably could. But then you'd have 4 years of medical school, then you'd have 7 years of residency before you ever were a surgeon.
Oh, it would take a long time.
Take a very long time.
And we're imagining that I'm completely dedicated to this premise. If I just decide today, I want to be a surgeon, Do you think in 30 years I would be a surgeon?
30 years? Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I think if I could probably do it.
I think maybe you should set your sights a little lower, though, if you wanted to be a gas station attendant.
Or a nurse, maybe.
Or a nurse. Let's equate the two.
I don't know.
I've thought about this, too, because I'm not the most motivated person in the entire world. And I'm also, at least I consider myself fairly intelligent. And I've realized that intelligence does not equal success by any stretch of the imagination. It's basically...
Because you're not successful?
Well,
That's
no,
why you're coming up with
but
that?
a lot of people who are successful, depending on the field that we're talking about, but, you know, musicians, actors, directors, celebrities, people who... They basically just try really, really hard and have a lot of ambition and drive, and you don't necessarily have to have talent to make it. You just have to.
What's
want to make
the
it.
Woody Allen thing about 90% of life is showing up or something?
Yeah.
You know, it's all about like sticking to it and
Right.
showing up and keeping going and stuff like that and being persistent because there's a lot of obstacles in the way of you doing things.
Yeah.
Like there's always like more paperwork to do and people's asses you have to kiss, and after a while you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. But if you're really ambitious, you keep doing it.
Well, and you also have to be sort of single-mindedly convinced that you are worth it, or that everyone else is wrong, because people will constantly be rejecting you all the time, and you just have to... So maybe less intelligence actually helps, because you're not introspective. You just go through with it.
Well, this is the thing about intelligence. I don't know. What's the point of being intelligent?
It doesn't do anything for you, really. All it does is point out to you, you're aware of all the things that suck in the world. You can actually... You think about why things don't work. You think about why you're unhappy. You can actually voice your concerns, whereas other people might be like, I'm depressed today. And then they see a show about a car.
But aren't the wisest people really the people who are happy? The people who figure out how to be happy?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really...
How intelligent are you if you're always like unhappy and you're not doing the things that would make you kind of happy?
Yeah, but it's the idea of, can you turn your brain off? And if you're somebody who... I guess I'm still equating turning your brain off to being happy, but it's... If we want to get really philosophical about it, it's the whole like
do it.
Camus kind of thing of waking up to the way the world really is. And a lot of people can just go back to sleep again and be fine, but then the people who can't go back to sleep are the ones who are perpetually melancholy all the time.
This is the Zen concept.
Yeah.
Before you know Zen, a mountain is a mountain.
Right.
And the period where you're understanding it, it's no longer a mountain. Then when you come out the other side,
it's a mountain.
It's a mountain again.
Yeah.
But you've crossed this threshold, and you've gone through the crucible, and you understand things for what they are. But you're happier.
It's all just mentally jacking off, basically. I mean, it doesn't.
Well, everything's mentally jacking off. Being happy is mentally jacking off.
It doesn't mean anything. That's when I was in philosophy classes in college. Occasionally, I would get really into a discussion, and we'd be talking about the most obtuse, ridiculous subject or concept, and it was fun sometimes at the time. But then every once in a while, I would snap out of it and realize this has absolutely no bearing on living. Basically, I realized that pretty much every philosopher is somebody who probably never got laid ever in their life. And so all they got to do was just sit around and think, am I here? What's going on? Is this real? Because if you're banging chicks all day, you have a happy life.
Well, can you say that about anything?
Yeah,
Anybody
maybe.
that achieves anything?
Maybe.
This is what I'm saying. So the people that are banging chicks are happy.
Yeah.
The guys that are like philosophizing.
Well, I'm not saying just
Aristotle.
that banging chicks equals happiness, but I'm sure it helps.
So this is philosophy right here, isn't it?
We should write a treatise on the subject. A listener pointed out to me, I don't sound pleasant, apparently, when we're talking.
Really?
So
someone said that about you?
Yeah. They said I sound unpleasant.
And what did they say about me?
You sound pleasant.
Yes, I do.
You sound like the kind of guy that you're like, hey, I might hang out with Warren, might have a drink with him. He seems jolly.
I'm a jolly, charming
He laughs
man.
a lot.
Yeah.
And apparently I do not sound like a jolly, pleasant person.
Well, it's a
to hang
good
around.
cop, bad cop thing. That's what we got going here.
Maybe.
You're definitely the bad cop. I'm the
Angry,
good
bitter
cop. The just jolly cop over here.
But you're pretty pissed off a lot of the times, too, it seems like.
Oh, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I find that being angry, what's the point? Who cares?
Yeah. It takes some energy.
Why care about anything like that?
Mm.
You know, speaking of philosophers, I know you've are fond of the Sartre saying, right? Or isn't it one of his books about like
hell is other people? Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then that's true.
Yeah.
If you get wrapped up in that stuff and people end up in this problem where they're always worrying about their relations with other people, and they're just always trying to change other people, blah, 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 blah. But if you just kind of take people for who they are and don't worry about it, and you're okay when they're not paying attention to you the way you want them to at all times,
right,
then you're fine.
Yeah, I have a dichotomy with that, where there's times where I am able to just take people as they are and appreciate the fact that there's hundreds of millions of different personalities and strange combinations of morals and behaviors, and it's kind of amazing to just sit somewhere and watch this strange flood of humanity walking by. And then there's other times where every single thing people do just pisses me off, and you don't want to be like that. No, I don't want to be like that.
You want to be detached. So I'm going very Eastern. I've already brought up Zen.
Yeah.
We're getting into Taoism. We're getting into the idea that, like, you want to be detached. You want to be on an even keel. You want to see things for what they are and see everything in context and not worry about it.
Well, I don't understand how I can be, because I can be just amazingly amused by people, everything they do. And I think that is a feeling of detachment where it doesn't affect me. I can just appreciate it for what it is. But when you think about it, what makes you unhappy, if you ever are unhappy? It's other people, basically. It's things that other people have done. It's other people reacting to you or not reacting to you in a certain way.
But is it you expecting them to act in a different way, and because they're acting in a certain way, they're disappointing you?
It's all you, because it's your own expectations. Yeah. Exactly.
So you can't ever control the other person, so you just have to work in your expectations. You have to work in your perception of the people.
Perhaps.
Yeah, but I don't think that's very helpful.
I was just reading about Ceausescu, how wherever he went, he made people paint trees green. Like if it was...
Look what happened to him.
I know.
That didn't end well for Ceausescu, as we all remember.
I just love the idea of, I don't know if we want to get off on this tangent, but being so drunk with power, things that a normal person would just discard immediately because it's impractical, it's ridiculous. Just like, why not? I saw this guy once performing on the street at the Santa Monica Pier who was an amazing yo-yo performer. I don't know what you would call him, a yo-yoist. He knew all these tricks. He was walking the dog. It was an amazing display of skill with the yo-yo.
Yeah.
But why? Like how many hours did he dedicate every day to getting really good at being a yo-yoist?
Oh, and I think I would be all for that if he was happy and that brought him joy in some way, that he found it rewarding in and of itself. But if he was pursuing this with the ultimate goal of like being on, Jay Leno and then making millions of dollars, and then him being like frustrated that ever happens.
Yeah.
That's no way to do it.
No.
It should be its own reward, being a good yo-yoist.
There's just certain esoteric skills that, yes, you can appreciate the degree of skill involved, but also wonder why the hell anyone would ever bother getting that good at something.
Yeah. Do it if it's fun.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, right?
Yeah, like to throw
we
every once in a while.
We used to play a lot of pool. We haven't been recently. We both enjoy that. And you win sometimes, I win sometimes, but neither of us ever get that much better. We're better.
Our game was pretty good at our height.
It's probably terrible now.
But we were improving together, so there was no one who
no one ever jumped ahead
really
of the other
took
one.
the lead. But yeah, that's the kind of thing where you just do it for the love of the game, because it's not like we were traveling from smoky pool hall to pool hall trying to bet on games or anything.
Or like I wasn't going home and like getting a pool table and like practicing for hours and hours and hours in a way that I didn't find enjoyable, just in a way so I could beat you.
But that has a competitive aspect to it, though, because you could walk into a bar and there'd be some douchebag on the table. You put your quarters up, you challenge, and then you mop the floor with them, and you feel a certain satisfaction in that.
Really?
There aren't people hanging out in bars with the yo-yo. Like, oh, what you got there? And then they have like a yo-yo off in front of everybody, and people start cheering and flashing them.
But showing up some guy that has his own cue at a bar is enough for you to practice at pool, so you can get good enough and have the satisfaction.
Well, no, I mean, the reason I played is because I enjoyed playing it, but an added bonus of that was occasionally some douchebag with a leather satchel containing a pool cue would walk up with like khaki pants with his shirt tucked in, a big ass, and like one of those holsters with chalk on the side, and thinking he's tough shit.
Yeah.
At the pool hall. And then it's fun to be able to, and they always do that shit where like, well, Junior, and they try to like give you advice on your shots in a very condescending manner. Yeah. So it's fun to kind of, it's like the other day actually last night at a bar, a guy mussed my hair up.
Yeah.
Because, he saw something beautiful and just had to destroy it, is my opinion. He's actually...
What's your read on it?
He's a guy I know. He's not a bad guy, but he was in kind of a bad mood. He was talking about how he can arm wrestle well, and so I had to challenge him to an arm wrestling match just to show him that, it doesn't all go your way. Well, I like to be the dark horse arm wrestler because, I'm pretty thin, but I got the wiry stuff going on there. So occasionally I can beat people who seem like they should be able to easily beat me.
I can beat everyone we know.
Probably, I would assume.
I don't.
We might have to have a match and see. I'm sure you'll still beat me, but I might be able to put up a little bit of a fight.
Okay, but I don't. Yeah, I would need to. I haven't lost an arm wrestling match in a long time.
I'm sure you.
But that's mostly because we hang out with kind of skinny, frail wusses. Not, I mean, it's not because I'm the greatest arm wrestler.
In our group, I'm one of the strongest people in our group.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not like we're batting with Olympic athletes here.
Your friend, our friend who you're hanging out with last night.
Yeah.
Infamous for his arm wrestling adventures.
He has the problem of accepting challenges that he should not accept. If a large woman challenges you to an arm wrestling match, don't do it. Especially if you have any doubt at all that you're going to win. He has lost at least 2 or 3 times to women.
Yes. To be fair, there was one time I was at a party with him. I don't think you were there for this. And somebody insisted that he arm wrestle a woman.
Oh, no, I was there. I saw this.
You were there for this?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think he won with the left hand. He lost with the right hand.
Yeah.
Or he won with one hand.
One of those, yeah.
And the thing is, it's like he may have won with one hand, but really in the eyes of the people who are watching, he lost completely, right? You can't win if you arm wrestle a woman.
I just love the woman who wants to go around arm wrestling people, too. I guess it's kind of cool, but it's not something that most women want to be known as
the great arm wrestler,
the greatest arm wrestler in this tri-state area.
It's the thing. You don't want to fight someone who's a lot smaller than you,
right?
Just because they don't have anything to lose.
Well, and if you win, you're kind of a dick because you beat up a little shrimp.
Yep.
And if by some chance you lose, you're much worse off than if you had just left it alone.
Yeah. There's nothing for you to win in that situation.
It's a good philosophy.
That's why you never arm wrestle women. And you just don't get involved in the situation.
You do thumb wrestle women.
I hate thumb wrestling.
I like thumb wrestling.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I find it frustrating.
I really like it.
The thing where you always got your thumb back and you're kind of reaching.
Darting in there, you're darting out. Ugh.
I just want to get my whole arm involved. I don't know.
Yeah.
I find it annoying.
I'm pretty good at it. I've got a good grip. What I like is the idea of arm wrestling as the new form of conflict resolution. As before, let's take it outside. You have a fight. Now it's just always arm wrestling. And people are standing around cheering. This is what irritated me.
Is this something that happens all over the place now?
Well, this is what I want to start happening all over the place.
It's not something that actually happens.
There's only one way we could deal with this situation.
It's like, arm wrestling, whoa! And everyone in the bar, the music shuts off. They circle the tables around.
Yeah.
Everyone's putting money down. You take your shirt off or you roll your sleeves up. You have to show the tattoo on your bicep of going over the top. It shows you slamming somebody down.
There's a tattoo of somebody winning an arm wrestling match on your bicep?
Yeah, well, not yet. But if this actually occurred, this is what I would do.
Oh, really?
Because then they would see that and they'd see me. They'd see a representation of me just slamming somebody through a table.
That's a weird thing to do.
And they'd immediately become intimidated. And I could get some sort of mannequin arm hooked up to a weight system where I would just practice all day, going over the top.
Oh, I guess you could do that, couldn't you? It'd be an easy thing to build.
Oh, yeah. I'd have one, my right arm would just be massively larger than the rest of my body.
Have you ever seen the Over the Top, the movie?
Oh, yeah, there's a movie about this, isn't there?
Yeah. I've never seen it.
I've never seen it either.
But apparently there's some sort of tour, or he goes around
arm wrestling
people
tour
for money or whatever. Yeah,
I know there's a huge underground arm wrestling betting culture.
Oh,
that
yeah,
goes
I'm
on.
sure there is. But I assume that somebody has that machine. You could probably buy one of those machines, right, where you could train at arm wrestling. I would think so.
Yeah,
you put weights on
I'm
there.
sure you could just have a weight and pulley thing and just pull it down over and over again. All right, well, I'm going to work on this. I'll let you know how it goes. So I have 2 potential candidates for Freak of the Week. Maybe we'll get the theme music going here.
They wander the streets, scavenging for loose change and discarded cigarette butts.
Spare $1
And give me a motherfucking cigarette.
I ran out of gas ways back.
You smoke weed, don't you?
God, booze in my car.
I could use some change.
They may be mentally unstable and deserving of our charity, but that doesn't mean they can't be selected as the Warren and Bradley Show Street Freak of the Week.
Brad didn't actually start the theme music right there. For us, as we're recording, he actually just like
Mimed pressing
mimed pressing a button. He just pushed the table and was like, "Here we go," and like I'm supposed to like play along like the music started.
So
okay.
now we'll pretend that the music just ended.
The music did just end for you that are listening, but I didn't hear the music.
Yes. So we'll do a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, excellent. So the first candidate was a homeless gentleman. I was walking home from downtown the other day, and there was a police car that almost ran me over. I was going through a crosswalk. Suddenly this police car just shoots through the intersection. It's like, whoa, where's he going? He does a U-turn and just screeches to a halt right in front of this homeless man who is walking.
Yeah.
The homeless man ignores the cop car. The cop car is cutting him off on the sidewalk. He actually jumped the curb to go in front of this guy, jumps out of his car. The homeless man walks up to the car, climbs up onto the hood of the car, walks over the hood of the car, gets off on the other side, and continues walking as the cop is like, hey, trying to get him to stop. He does not stop. He just keeps walking. Doesn't look to one side. Doesn't look. He reminds me of, was it Teddy Roosevelt who used to do his walks where there could be no obstructions? If he came to a lake, he would just go through the lake. If he came to like a wall, he would have to scale the wall.
Yes, that sounds right.
Yeah. This was the homeless person. So he just continues walking. The cop is like, looks very bemused and befuddled, because usually if a cop pulls in front of you and tells you to stop, you stop.
Yeah.
He gets back in his car, and I'm kind of hanging back a little bit to watch this whole scene. Gets back in the car, pulls out again, drives, and does this yet again. Jumps the curb, pulls in front of the homeless person. This time the homeless person walks up to the car and like pushes against it with his body. As though
like he's a robot.
Exactly. As though he could just like maybe push the car away with the weight of his amazing forward momentum. The cop gets out again, puts his hand on the guy, and he flips out. Just goes, just screams and screams and screams. Finally, about 3 other cop cars race in there. They grab him, wrestle him to the ground. You have never seen anyone freak out like you have seen this homeless person freak out. And the cops, it was like he was on PCP or something. It was like 4 cops could not get him down onto the ground. It was amazing.
That's a pretty good one.
That's a pretty good one. Yeah. I enjoyed that one. The next candidate, today, actually, I was at the bagelry getting a bagel. There were 2 buskers outside the bagelry, homeless people who were, well, they might not have been completely homeless. They had a guitar.
Yeah. Hippies.
They weren't hippies. I don't know. I want to say meth addicts, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
They had a guitar. One was playing a, kind of bluesy riff, and the other one was singing a song. Mm-hmm. But the song was not a song. It was a basically stream of consciousness rant about everyone who was walking by on the street.
Oh, that's nice.
They had a hat out on the ground, trying to collect money, but the song would be, well, it's a good day in Bellingham. Look at that fat woman walking by with her kid. That kid looks retarded. Everybody who walked by, they would sing a little song. My verse, as I walked by, was, that guy's got a nice leather jacket and shiny hair. His pants are too tight. They're there trying to collect money, and everyone walking by, there was one old man who you could tell he had a colostomy bag. Oh. You could see a bulge under his shirt as he was walking, like tottering by. Yeah. They had to go at the old man with the colostomy bag.
Classy.
He shits in a bag. And he was like, like turns to look, and they're like, like pointing towards. I don't know if they're so deluded that they just thought people would find this pointing fun at our foibles is so hilarious. We just have to reward them with money. I don't know if they collected much.
I doubt it. It reminds me of when you remember a couple of years ago, the homeless people started putting like on their signs rather than like "We'll work for food" or
I want beer.
Yeah, they'd be like, "Give me some money for beer," or "Give me some money for drugs," and they'd be like, they thought they were so funny. And like the first person that did it, probably people like thought that was clever years ago. Then everybody did it.
Yeah,
and it got very unfunny and very unclever very quickly.
Became very hot within the homeless community. Though.
Yeah, that picked up like wildfire. They were all like, "Oh, this is a great idea. This is what we'll do now." I don't see this one taking off.
There was a good guy in L.A. who used to stand by the freeway who had a sign. I don't know if I can remember the exact wording, but it was actually spelled correctly and worded well, but it was something like, need a pretty face and $24.8 million to get my production off the ground, something like that. Offer revenue sharing and international distribution rights. Like, it was perfectly worded as though, and that was clever. I appreciated that.
It's a weird reason to give like a homeless person money, though, based on their cleverness. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I kind of like it if they work for it, though, because if there used to be a guy who would do no. Well, I don't want someone in my face like, hey, doing a little dance or something. But there was the homeless guy that I used to see in Santa Monica all the time, who he was always asking for cigarettes from people. Yeah. But he had one prop cigarette which he used to do cigarette tricks with, so he'd make it disappear, or it would like go into his ear. You're like, all right, I'll give you a cigarette after that. You did something. You worked for it a little bit. Instead of just being like, give me a cigarette. Or do you have an extra cigarette? The extra cigarette is my favorite, too. It's like... everything's extra, I guess, really. Yeah, I opened my pack, and instead of 20, there were 21 cigarettes. I luckily got an extra one, so I'll give you this. Or borrowing the cigarette. Like, I'll return it to you. Rarely are you going to get repaid in that. I don't think so. I'm going to go with the first freak. Oh, yeah. So your selection as the... Yes. The Warren and Bradley Show Street Freak of the Week is... I like the going over the car thing. Yeah. Yeah. The Teddy Roosevelt homeless man. Yeah, I think it's unstoppable great. Terminator homeless man. Yeah. All right, so there you have it. He is the winner. And then he pressed the paper again to end the segment.
Our hats are off to you, Mr. Homeless Man, because you've been selected as the Warren and Bradley Show Street Freak of the Week.
So we were talking about this being episode 13.
Yes.
And how some people think that's an unlucky number.
I was trying to look into the superstition around the number 13, because in apparently a lot of different cultures, 13 is a lucky number. And I could not find any satisfying reason as to why Western culture decided that 13 is unlucky. I mean, we go so far as to have high-rise buildings without a 13th floor. Yeah. So it's very much ingrained within us, but at least Wikipedia did not have an answer as to why that's the case. I was just wondering, have you ever... Because you were raised a Christian, as I was. Yes. But you were like a very stodgy kind of traditional Christianity, like Christian Reform or something, wasn't it? Yeah, like I think the Dutch thing. So you guys didn't believe in like... You didn't emphasize the spirit world. Oh, as far as the that angels kind of stuff. And demons. And no, I mean they talk about it, but they didn't actually be like, "Oh, I've been possessed," and like fall on the floor, or start speaking in tongues, or anything. Nothing like that. It was much more staid than that. So, did you ever, at any point in your life, believe in ghosts or demons or? Have when I was a little kid, because the adults around me would talk about them, and I was like, "Oh, I guess these adults must be telling the truth." Yeah. Little did I know they were all like complete fools. Yeah, but. I think when I was a little kid, I think I saw an angel when I was a kid. Yeah. I recall. So you convinced yourself that you would experience something supernatural. Because that's all, we both grew up in these homes where there was a lot of religion. Well, my church was very, what's the word I'm looking for? Crazy? Speaking in tongues. Yeah, that kind of around, stuff. Prophesying. People would take little flags and do, that ribbon dance they do in gymnastics? Yeah. It's like people would be prancing around the church like, speaking in strange tongues and like twirling these ribbons around. And it was all very primal. It's very, I guess it is sort of like those primal retreats people go to and bang drums and jump around campfires and stuff. And growing up in that, I did not realize how odd other people would think it was. Yeah. I mean, I still found it strange myself, just sitting in the midst of all this. And I think, as I've mentioned before, I was not a naturally frightened person. I was always pretty fearless about things. But the one thing that I was afraid of was demons. Because my dad sat me down. He once read me this entire book about a man who supposedly was on the operating table. He died. He went to heaven. And God had these angels kind of give him a tour of all the demons. He took him into the second heaven or something, the spirit world, and there was all these demons everywhere, and he was describing how basically there are demons everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's demons, and they're constantly trying to fuck with you. And so me, as a 6-year-old, being told this, it kind of freaked me out a little bit. Yeah, it's terrifying. It's a horrible thing to tell a little child, that there are these awful demons everywhere you go, and they're trying to possess you constantly. So I was constantly, sitting in my room, shaking with fear, hearing something, thinking there was a demon trying to tell me something, and I'd be like, help me, Jesus, help me. It was horrible. I used to be deathly afraid of getting up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night because I always thought there was a demon in the bathtub. Because you could open the door to the bathroom, and it was dark in there, and you could see the bathtub reflected in the mirror, and behind the curtain, I always saw a shape breathing.
Oh, yeah.
This evil demon back there, and I'd be like, oh. So I'd run in, I'd turn on the light and open the shower curtain as fast as I could, because if there was a demon, I wanted to see it and not just have it behind me.
That's
lurking.
how I handle those things, too.
Yeah.
I always just go darting into rooms. I know one time when I was in college, I went to my house, and for some reason I took a shower, and I heard these like noises out in my house. I thought my roommates were gone or something, so I grabbed a 9-iron, and I had like a towel on, and I went like walking towards my roommate's room and like burst in with this 9-iron. It was just like him and some other people I knew, and they were like hanging out, and I was like, why did I think this was happening? And I like walked away, and I was like, that was weird.
What was their response to you?
Like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, I don't know. I was ready to like hit you guys with a 9-iron.
That's a very vulnerable time when you're showering, because I get that too when I'll be taking a shower in my bathroom and it sounds like people are walking around in my apartment.
Well, this is the thing about me. I have always had roommates. Never lived by myself.
Yeah.
And anytime I'm by myself in my house, like at night, usually there's always people there. And if I start hearing like things, I hear noises. I think people are walking around. I hear things happening and stuff like that. It's just the nature of not ever like being in a house by yourself very often. Yeah,
I've lived alone for quite a while now, and if I were the suggestive type of person, living in this apartment would freak out a person like that.
It's an old place.
There's lots of
weird
creaking
noises.
and bumping and banging.
Yeah.
I have the radiators, so there's always weird like clanging going on from there. And I actually just watched Paranormal Activity 3 the other night, which, whatever. I guess for what they are fairly successful.
I'm surprised that there's a third one. Someone else was talking about that the other day. I was like, really? There's 3? Wasn't the first one just come out not so long ago?
Well, the third one delves into the past more. Like, I don't know. They're all right. I keep watching scary movies because I want something to actually scare me, and I never do really get scared.
Yeah.
But I was just watching that movie alone in the darkened apartment, and I was imagining if I were a different kind of person, what my life might be like. Because as soon as I turn the movie off, there's all these creaks and groans and things happening. And of course, I'm just like, meh, whatever. It's fine. It's not scary. It's suggestive. I mean, I don't know. The only thing that ever happens to me is maybe if they do a cheap scare where they try to startle you, I might jump a little bit, but that's not being scared. That's just being startled.
Doesn't the creepy eeriness of it ever get to you in that creepy way? Really? That doesn't happen?
No, I mean, it was effectively done, and it was good for what it was, I guess, but I don't believe in any of these things. I don't believe that there are ghosts or demons, so it's not like...
But you don't get sucked in at all?
Not really.
You can't suspend your belief enough?
I'm trying to think of any moment in the movie. There was one part in the third movie where the babysitter... is at home, and it's pretty effective because she was with the little daughters, and they wanted the babysitter to tell them a ghost story, so she took a sheet and was like, "Ooh," with the sheet, and then later on when the kids were in bed, she was doing her homework in the dining room, and the guy, the boyfriend who lived in the house, had set up a camera on an oscillating fan. And so at one point it would be panned into the kitchen or into the dining room, and then it would pan over into the living room. So it's very effective because you're like, oh, what's going to happen when it pans back again? So you see her as it pans into the dining room. She's there doing her homework, pans into the living room, and you see a shape in a sheet, like this perfect little round head crouching in the sheet. It pans back, nothing in the dining room with the babysitter. Pans back into the living room. The sheet is gone. Pans back to the dining room, and the little figure under the sheet is now behind the babysitter, and then suddenly the sheet just collapses, and there's nothing underneath, and she startles and looks behind, and there's just the sheet on the ground.
I see I kind of have goosebumps.
Really?
That sounds fabulous.
That's pretty good.
I want to watch these movies.
Yeah, you should watch them. The first 2 are on Netflix. You can watch those.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, maybe I'll watch that tonight.
Maybe if any listeners out there have ever had any paranormal experience, they could write in to podcast@warrenandbradley.com.
Maybe you need us to investigate it.
Well, that's our new business. We've just started.
I've got a joke.
Oh, really?
Make this a segment.
All right. We'll see if it's any good.
Yeah, I know. Here we go. Sometimes I have problems phrasing my jokes. What did the traffic light say to the car?
I don't know, Warren.
Don't look, I'm changing. There you go. Did you like
did you make this up yourself?
No, I just looked up on the internet when you were making coffee.
Oh, wow. That's exciting. jokes aren't funny.
Oh, really? You don't think so?
No, because it's you saying. Anytime anyone ever says, "Oh, I've got this great joke," I never find it funny because they're trying to be funny. Humor. Well, I was going to say humor is when you're not trying to be funny, but you can try to be funny, but it has to be situational and topical. When you're just sitting there saying one-liners or making jokes, I just don't find that.
What's on the
amusing at all.
delivery at that point?
I guess. Or if you're sort of self-aware and that's part of the humor is the fact that you're just
Or really not self-aware at all.
Yeah.
And then that's also very funny.
I guess, yeah. Well, yes, I have heard people telling jokes that they find so hilarious and they can't help laughing after they tell the joke, and then I find just their reaction to the joke that they told funny, but not the joke itself.
No. You never heard like just a joke in and of itself you can't think of that you think is funny?
My reaction to jokes, anytime anyone tells me a joke, I go, yeah. Have you ever heard me tell a joke?
No, I don't think I have.
No.
Not that I can think of.
I don't tell jokes.
Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
Okay, so this week for Celebrity Minute, I'm even bored by what we can find. Pretty much all we've got is Lindsay Lohan's doing Saturday Night Live. She's trying to get her career back on track. She says that she wants to remind people that she's an actress, not a defendant. I think maybe Saturday Night Live will help, but what would help more would be not getting arrested constantly.
Not being a defendant would remind people that she's not a defendant.
And maybe act in a movie.
Oh, look, Al Sharpton says to leave Bobby alone.
Al Sharpton, shut the fuck up. Miley Cyrus got another tattoo. It looks really good. We're looking at a picture right now of a tattoo artist pointing at her boob for some reason, but the tattoo she got is one that says "Love Never Dies" on the inside of her left bicep.
Oh, that's nice.
She's great. We've also got a story about Kobe Bryant, who apparently is begging his wife not to leave him. He wants to work it out. He says he won't ever cheat again. What do you think about that, Warren? Do you think he'll ever cheat again?
I think he'll probably cheat. My understanding about professional athletes is like 99.95% of them are constantly cheating on their wives on the road.
I think when he called her to ask her to work it out, he was currently having sex with 3 different women at the same time.
It's very possible.
One other thing I was going to mention, which everybody else already knows, but I just found out about yesterday and was so angry and shocked that I was like, I came in today and we had our pre-planning session, which is always very extensive for the show. And I was like, Warren, did you know that Dave Coulier had sex with Alanis Morissette? And he was like, Brad...
It was weird. It was like saying that, that Kuwait had been invaded by Iraq. I was everyone knows this already.
I was so angry about it.
It's from the 90s.
I know. It's very old. But I just found out, and I was quite perplexed and shocked and freaked out about it.
But what bothered you most about it?
It's fucking Dave Coulier. Who would ever have sex with Dave Coulier? But she was like desirable, hot, indie. Well, I mean, originally she was this weird little dance pop person in Canada, and then her first album, The Jagged Little Pill, that broke out of that vein, was this commercial
with the ironic song, right?
With You Ought to Know, which supposedly is about Dave Coulier.
I like how shocked you are. It's so weird.
It's just so disturbing. She fucked Uncle Joey from Full House, or is he Joey?
No, yeah, he's Joey.
Yeah, which was Stamos?
Jesse.
Okay, I've never seen an episode of Full House.
Let's say it had been about Uncle Jesse, John Stamos.
That'd be fine. I'd be perfectly...
What is about Bob Saget?
Even Saget would be okay. Because Saget is kind of a creepy weirdo in a cool way.
Yeah.
He played this character on Full House for a decade, but then when you see his comedy specials, he's the most creepy, foul-mouthed, disturbing comic in the world. Well, I don't know about the most. Fucking Uncle Joey, his whole thing is clean comedy.
Yeah.
He does Rocky and Bullwinkle impressions. He goes, cut it out.
Yeah.
He's so obnoxious.
Maybe he's a nice guy.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
It's a strange thing to be that outraged about.
I was outraged.
You need to keep up with these things.
All right.
Kurt Cobain killed himself. Did you know that?
What?
I know.
Jesus.
It's very shocking news flashes for you.
All right, that's the end of Celebrity Minute.
Button. We're done.
This has been Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
As I mentioned, I've lived alone for quite some time now.
He's single, ladies.
7 years or so. Well, there have been periods within that time where I've had girlfriends, but never no live-in ones.
Yeah.
And as a result of this, I've developed some very strange, eccentric habits that I don't really think about on a daily basis, but every once in a while I catch myself, I'll be in my underwear ironing some clothes, singing a song about ironing the clothes, which I am ironing at that time, which I don't think you would do if you had roommates.
It's the same thing with the dictators.
Yeah.
It's the fact that, like, having roommates is sort of like having a parliament. In the sense that, like, they regulate your behavior a little bit and normalize what you do. If you have roommates, you can't ever be that weird. But if you are by yourself, you do get weird, right?
Oh, yeah.
You just start doing the weirdest things.
Yeah, I talk to myself pretty much constantly when I'm alone in here.
That's weird.
And it's not just me. It's not just me going, oh, I'm going to have to go get some more groceries.
There's
at some
another
point.
character.
There's an actual conversation going on. I'll answer myself, basically. And I don't know who is who. I don't know if this is some like other aspect of my personality that I'm conversing with. He's actually usually very agreeable to everything I say, which is nice. He respects my opinion and compliments my intelligence. But yeah, that's something that I probably would not do if I had roommates. There's a lot of nudity involved in my daily life where, I take a shower, I just walk out here naked.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll see myself in the mirror and do a little dance when I...
What sort of dance?
Just kind of shimmy, shake,
Really?
jump around.
Jeez Louise.
I make myself laugh constantly. Like, I'll see myself in the mirror and go, hey, and do some weird thing, and then I'm like, ha, 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 you're hilarious. And I know. I don't know if it's very sad or it's just me coping with my heartbreaking loneliness.
It's different having roommates. Like, when we were out the other night, our IT man and my roommate and our good friend, John, came by.
Uh-huh.
He had a little bit too much to drink.
Oh, he had a few.
He'd had a few. Was very, very drunk. And then we interacted with him. He's like, I have to go home. We were like, okay. And he like wandered off. I went home a few hours later, saw him. He was just sitting there on the couch. I don't know where his glasses were. His head was just askance. And he was just like sitting in this awkward position, just eyes closed, like passed out in this weird way. My girlfriend was like, should we wake him up and put him in his bed? I was like, no, that's not what you do.
He's fine.
You leave him there.
Yeah.
Leave him there. And then I got up and went to the bathroom later, and he was like wandering around. I was like, where are my glasses? I lost my glasses. Sometimes entertaining things like this happen if you have roommates.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess when I did have roommates, I always did my best to not be around them ever.
Well, that's how we are at my house, though, too,
Yeah.
typically. We don't actually interact within the house, and we usually text each other to communicate.
Right.
And there isn't like a time where we just all get together and we eat together, or we just treat it like we're all renting a room within the house.
But if you did need socialization, you know that there are people that
Oh,
you
yeah,
can
yeah,
go
yeah.
to. And I guess that's kind of the benefit. With me, it's the strange eccentricity that keeps getting worse and worse the longer I live alone. Actually, I had a house guest stay with me for a few weeks a couple months back, and it was a very strange adjustment period. I had to catch myself, all the things that I would normally do, which most people would want to commit me after witnessing, I sort of had to drop. And I guess it was a good reality check, maybe.
Yeah,
for a minute,
that's
where
good
it's
for
like,
you, I think.
Oh my God, what have I been doing? And it's not like I'm doing anything horrible.
Well, that's the thing. Just imagine if, like, one of these apocalyptic scenarios happened and you were the only person in town.
Oh, yeah.
How weird you would get.
Oh, yeah.
You would just get bizarre.
I'm sure I'd find some sort of volleyball and drop.
Yeah, you'd be talking in
your.
your volleyball. You'd be, you'd be doing little shimmies in front of windows of like shops.
I like to dance a jig. And it's not the kind of thing that I would ever do in front of other people. But if I see a mirror, if I see myself walking by a mirror or like a window in a business that's dark so you can see a nice reflection in it, I'll give myself a little, hey, what's up? And I'll dance. And
well, I'll say this about you. When we used to go to the YMCA, I would be on the treadmills, and I would look outside the window, and you could look down, and there was a bank down there across the street, and the windows were very dark, and they were reflective. And as people would walk by, they'd always check themselves
Invariably,
out. Check themselves out, like, oh, what's going on here? What's going on here? I did see you walk by a couple times, and you would never look at yourself in that.
Well, that's because I was in public.
Yeah.
And I know I consciously don't look into reflective surfaces when I'm around
Okay,
people.
yeah, because it was weird, because almost everyone else does it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people seeing me like I'm vain or something.
Yeah.
But when I'm alone, oh yeah, I'm talking to myself in the mirror. I'm like, hey, look at you. Oh, hey.
See, I never look in the mirror.
Yeah.
This is a weird thing. I just kind of catch myself maybe when I'm brushing my teeth.
That's obvious.
Well, it can be a problem, because I could have something weird going on, and if nobody told me, it would just be there forever.
Yeah, it's good to give yourself a once-over just to make sure there's,
I'm assuming everyone else is doing that. Like, if they're going to be like, look, what's this? Why is
well,
this chicken
especially
bone
as you
stuck
get
in your
older and
mustache?
strange hairs develop in different places.
Oh, yeah.
I found one, when I gave myself my short haircut a while ago, found a giant hair growing out of the top of my ear, which at one point, just blended in with the rest of the hair on my head.
Yeah.
But then it was suddenly very evident. And, yeah, I think somebody would notice something
Well,
like that.
I've got, hairs growing inside my ear in that inner area sometimes.
I don't have any inside. They just grow out the very top. It goes, and I get this weird long hair. And it's something that I don't notice while it's growing, but then suddenly it's like 8 inches. Well, not that long, but it gets pretty fucking long.
Yeah, I get those too. Sometimes, well, it's always the places on your head where people don't see or you don't look, like
Right.
the top of your ear or like kind of back behind my jaw. I used to get this giant hair that would just grow and grow and grow. And it's very thick. And I'd never look back there. No one's ever going back there. But,
Yeah.
And then eventually you're like, oh my God, there's inches of hair just like pushed out back
Well, that's
there.
the girlfriend thing. When you have a girlfriend, they give you a little once over, like, oh, you've got a back hair. Because
Oh,
I get 1 or 2 back hairs. And
really?
when I don't have a girlfriend, they just grow. And occasionally I'll be like, oh, I've got a hair on my shoulder, and I try to brush it off, but then it's attached, so then I pluck it forth. When you have a girlfriend, they do that for you.
What do you think of my mustache right now?
It looks pretty good. Maybe we'll put a picture of Warren's mustache. He's got a nice big. Would that technically
It's
be
a
a walrus or a handlebar?
I believe it's a handlebar.
Or are those two terms interchangeable?
I think they're interchangeable. I've never
Perhaps.
heard of a walrus. But it's
walrus mustache.
I've been getting a lot of positive feedback on it.
I like it.
I just happened to do it because I was going to shave it all off, and I just kind of took off the middle part. And I was like, oh, I'll just have the handlebar for a while.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, it works for you.
What you need to do is get an earring and a bandana.
And a
then
black leather vest.
Black leather vest with no shirt underneath, and you're about 50% to biker anyway. Maybe
Am I?
maybe shave your head as well.
Oh, I can't shave my head.
Why?
I look very intimidating with my head shaved.
Well, especially with the handlebar mustache.
I look like a white supremacist.
Well, yeah.
I just can't, you know what I mean? I'm not a white supremacist.
You don't have to go whole hog. You don't have to get the swastika on your forehead or anything.
Oh, I don't do anything like that, though. But for some reason, I just look menacing.
Well, you look menacing anyway, just because you're large.
The hair sort of offsets it a little bit.
Okay, we'll put a picture of the handlebar mustache on the internet.
Oh, boy, something to look forward
It'll
to.
appear in episode 13 pictures. By the way, everyone go check out warrenandbradley.com, because for each episode that we post, there is a companion post which has pictures of things that we might have discussed. Also on Facebook, we post pictures as well. So if you like us on Facebook, you'll get updates as to when we post. Just in general, get interactive, get on there.
We love interaction with our audience.
This has been the Warren and Bradley Show, brought to you by Warren Van and Bradley Victor. For podcast news and information, like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/Warren and Bradley. Follow the show on Twitter at Warren and Brad. Subscribe on iTunes and leave a review. For episode archives and episode pictures, go to warrenandbradley.com, and to contact the show, write to podcast@warrenandbradley.com.